Recession is coming. United States jobs numbers shocking, says Sky News Australia. This is just from 3 hours ago. Guys, welcome to the channel. And this is just right hot on the tail of the stock market crash in Japan. Let's check this out.
There's a lot to get across tonight. I'm joined now to do that. Sky News host and National Affairs Editor at Daily Telegraph, James Morrow. And also joining me, One Nation Chief of Staff, James Ashby. Gents, welcome. I'll speak to a security expert in a moment about the increase in our terror threat levels. But I want to start with economic security concerns. These ones coming out, of course, from the US today. Stateside, weaker than expected employment data sparked concerns about a recession, causing a massive $100 billion sell.
I love how they talk about it, the fears of, it's just changing the definition of what a recession is didn't stop the recession from actually happening. You know, it happened already, right? It is still a recessive economy that you're in, right? It used to be, what was it, like 2 quarters of a shrinking economy? That was a recession, and then all of a sudden, no, that's not the definition we're using anymore. That does not change the fact of what just happened.
Off on our stock exchange when markets opened this morning. Global financial player Goldman Sachs now says the probability of a recession's risen from 15 to 25%. Unemployment in the States has hit 4.3%. Doubts are growing too about the value of some big...
When they say 20%, it's more like 90%. These people, I mean, they're the guys responsible for all of this, so you know how that goes.
Tech firms. James Morrow, first to you. The Democrats have been leaning pretty hard on growth as part of their big budget,
More lies. Aren't you tired of all the lies? Oh, the economy is doing great. There's a lot of work. Well, kind of. Maybe the economy is doing great for some people, maybe not so well for others. It would be interesting to see how it goes for some of the more poor people or some of the more middle class people. Are they all doing all that great? It would be interesting to know the true level of employment, because they usually have some weird ways of measuring that. And also, even if you're employed, what good is it if you're not making a living wage, if you're not making enough money to live like a decent human being, which used to be the case in the United States and most other civilized countries, but less and less so. So it's not just about, oh, I'm employed, yeah, but I live under a bridge. Okay, nice.
Re-election strategy, but that's now in jeopardy, isn't it, given the impact of job losses in the swing states that are already a hard ask for Kamala Harris?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've seen some really shocking jobs numbers out of the states, and job numbers, when you take them month by month and quarter by quarter, really do indicate that a recession is coming. Now, this comes after, as you say, the Democrats tried to wear the hat of responsible economic managers, but behind the scenes, of course, you know, Congress and the Fed have all been pumping money into the economy to try and keep things moving, at least to the election. Now,
and even these guys, when they say pumping money, you know, when they say pumping money, it's, I'm going to print a lot of money. And by print, I just mean just tap on a keyboard, literally just tapping on a keyboard, zeros. Giving who? You money? Well, maybe a little bit. Mostly, they're giving themselves money. They give themselves money and then give you a little bit of some peanuts. But it's their money. They give money to themselves, and just the famous trickle-down economics of, yeah, if I'm so rich that I'll just leave a big tip when I go to a fancy restaurant, and that's going to aid the economy. No. Fucking no, that's not how it works. You would be a lot better off if you just stop printing money, make my sweat, blood, and tears and sacrifice really valuable, and then we would have a fair capitalist society, not this pile of dog shit that we have.
Now, it looks like this game of playing chicken, essentially, with the economy and the election, that's not going so well, and these unemployment numbers show that it's those people who are working class, those people without university degrees who are the hardest hit. These people will be in those swing states that Donald Trump is absolutely counting on, the Rust Belt states, the industrial heartland of the U.S., while Kamala Harris tries to pick up, you know, the urban elite coastal swing states. So that's happening there. But at the same time, we're going to see a bloody day on Wall Street overnight. I think the NASDAQ futures are saying something like a 5 or 6% decline is tipped.
Goldman is saying 25%. Okay. From 15% to 20. Okay, so they nearly like doubled their estimation of a recession. That just shows that it's not just, it is already here. That's what they're saying when they say, oh, it could be 25%.
For when the market opens. So this is really bad news for the Democrats, but it's also really bad news, of course, for an awful lot of people who own shares in America and their retirements, and so many workers who are the victims of the way politics have been played with the American economy.
Yeah, this is really serious. It's dominated the headlines around the world. James Ashby here. Our Reserve Bank is already saying we could be on the brink of the next global financial crisis. You and I worked together during the last one. It was pretty horrific in there at Parliament House, trying to protect all of the Australian businesses and banks. We know we've got our bank, our RBA meeting tomorrow. Anyone with a mortgage is on tenterhooks. We've got runaway inflation. We've got big spending from the government. I always go here to the NDIS. It's pretty grim here in Australia too.
Yeah, I think the only...
It's grim in Australia. It's really getting grim everywhere. There's really few places in which, there's nowhere is immune to all of this. You know, I try to keep an eye on most of the Western civilized world, and no one is doing very good. Some places are doing worse than others, that's for sure, but no one is doing great.
Stock I noticed today that really didn't fall was gold. Gold stocks seem to hold up pretty well. I was glad
of course.
Two of my companies did all right, but everything else, yeah, it was bloodbath, and we aren't through the worst of it yet. It started last week. It's only going to continue. This is where our federal government need to recognise that a lot of our wealth is coming at the moment from the exports from mining and agriculture. If there is a downturn across the globe, God forbid that our housing stocks also take a hit, because that will then see dire straits hit so many families here, so many investors too, who provide roofs over the head of so many renters. So we've got a lot riding on this, and the old saying, when America sneezes and Australia catches the cold, didn't that stack up today? Really sad.
Yeah, it's that's a saying in Australia, but it's a saying everywhere else. And it's not just when the United States sneezes, catches a cold, when Japan is messed up, when China is doing its thing. So we live in this globalized world with a globalized economy and companies with their tentacles all over. And it usually is the case that everyone gets affected. Now, again, as I said before, some are affected more than others. The more linked, the closer you have your economy to that particular economy, you are more vulnerable. The more competitive you are towards that economy, or the more distance you are from the main economy players in the world, maybe you are a little bit more immune. But, I remember when going through this in Argentina, which is the stuff I've written about, as you know. You have my books over there, Surviving the Economic Collapse and Street Survival Skills. This one, specifically for this sort of thing, if you want to get ready for a recession, if you want to get ready for preparing for an economic collapse, get yourself Surviving the Economic Collapse as well as Street Survival Skills. These two combined, that's what you want to get. So, even if you were in Argentina, it still happened, and you're literally like in the end of the world. It's literally, in Tierra del Fuego, it's called the end of the world, and that's kind of where you are. But still, you sell abroad, you export, you import stuff. So remembering even the efecto tequila from the Mexican economy screwed all over all of South America's economies as well. And the same happens if there's any big global crisis. You're not going to be immune. There are, of course, things that you have a little bit more of a distance. And example, we were talking so much about immigration. Is it like waves of immigrants from Middle East invading into Argentina? No, they don't even last. Even when they're taken to Argentina, they go back to their homes. They don't like it there. It is not an easy place for people that are very different from the traditional values that Argentines have. So yeah, you're not going to be adapting well to a place like that, and sure as hell it won't be Javier Milei that helps you settle with your own agenda there. So there's a complicated scenario all over. The only thing you can do is stay on top of the news, as we're doing here, and prepare as best as you can. Take care. See you next time.